everybody, welcome back to YAFTV. It is Tuesday, May 9th, 2023, and I'm so glad to be back with you here on the channel. I will just jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution, protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence or hatred or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal or medical or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. So glad to be back with you. Here we are on Tuesday, so much going on. I don't know yet what Biden did in that meeting with McCarthy at all to do with the debt ceiling, but that's gonna come for tomorrow. Yeah, but we know we're trying to beat him back from the $1 trillion triage that Jerome Powell did, and we'll talk about that later. But anyway, okay, here we are. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk about the CEIR conference, the election, awful, attacking our elections conference that went on yesterday and today in DC at the International Spy Museum. We're going to talk about Chelsea Clinton pushing what is the Who's calling the new big catch-up initiative, which is, of course, to inject children with as many stabbies as they can. We're going to talk about many things here, but we're just going to jump in here with saying thank you. Thank you so much to everybody who supports this channel. You make it happen, and I'm so appreciative of you keeping me going in May here on YAFTV. And I, of course, thank my sponsors, c60evo.com/YAFTV. This is the incredible brain anti-inflammatory, clean out your mitochondria, keep you human by getting the garbage of the synthetic 2.0 human that they're trying to put into you out of your body by cleaning it out of your mitochondria using a C60 Evo. This is a carbon 60, ESS 60, amazing supplement, brain health, cellular health. Your whole point of being alive is because your cells stay young, they stay vibrant, and that's what we need. So c60evo.com/YAFTV, 10% off for anybody watching this channel, 15% off for people who contribute to the channel, and so many people love the facial serum. So I'll just say that too now. You can use it when you go out in the sun. C60 Evo really helps to protect you against the radiation of all levels, whether it's 5G or the spray in the sky that makes the sun more radioactive on your skin. All of it, great stuff there, and you can check out those things in the description below. All right, so we're going to get into here on this this broadcast here today. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but the first thing I want to say is, people, we need AM radio. Okay, we need AM radio because AM radio, not only is it conservative news, not only is it Christian news, and everything from AM coast to coast, all of it. Everything that gives us alternative news that is being, shut down by the major digital media, the satellite media, we need AM, and they're trying to take it out of our cars. Every car being produced now, they're saying they're taking AM radio out. Well, why are they taking it out? They're taking it out because they don't want you to have access to basically it can be pirated. It can be, anybody can set up an AM radio station in their own home if they want to put up an antenna and they want to broadcast. You can do that, and they want to shut it down. FM will be next. Soon it will only be satellite. And of course, this has to do with the information control that they want to have coming very soon, which is where they want to have it only be everything coming through your cell phone alerts, which will be through FEMA or our rogue government, to tell you, oh, this is happening, that's happening, things that you can't verify or know what's really going on. And of course, there's ham radio. There is everything that we need to protect. And so if you want to protect AM radio, the Congress wants to hear about it. We want you to tell the Congress about it. You can text it, on your cell phone to 52886, to let Congress know that you want AM radio to keep going. It's one of our last bastions of freedom of speech here. So we want to definitely let you know about that. The other thing I want to say before I jump into the news is, God chose us to be here right now. Okay, God chose you, God chose me. We're born here for a reason, and so choose your role, get your role, aligned with your values and what you're good at, whatever you hope to be good at. Choose your role in how you're going to be a beacon of salty light at this time. Whether it's being a warrior for the Prince of Peace, you want to have your own prayer war room, or you want to go out and run for your school board. You'll see why that's so important in the news I'm going to report here. You want to run for office. You want to organize shoulder to shoulder, protests. Whatever you want to do to fight this rogue globalist cartel Babylon takeover that's going on right now. Choose your role and get good at it and find joy. The thing is that, synthetic reality, this thing, our smartphones, what you're watching me on right now, it's all based upon stimulus response. It's all based on a Pavlovian kind of stimulus response. It isn't me connecting with you. We are connecting right now. But what I'm saying is the people in your life, the analog reality is what keeps you human and what keeps you connected with your true emotions, your motions in motion, your passions, the true passions, love, joy, grief, sadness. These things are real emotions. You want to feel them, but you can't feel them when you're connected to digital reality all the time. So you want to make sure that you find the path that brings you joy and real emotions that is disconnected from these digital platforms. So that was a long intro, but we're going to jump into a bunch of things here. I'm going to start with the social media, the social engineering job of what we get from our digital media, what's programming us. And there's a new show called Silo. It's coming out of Apple TV, and I want to talk about it here for a second before I then go into Putin on Victory Day, and then I go into Chelsea Clinton's initiative for what's called the Big Catch-Up out of the Brainstorm Health Conference that just happened a couple weeks ago in LA to basically push massive injections into our children. But what we're going to talk about here for a second is Silo, this new program. I talked about Mrs. Davis last week. I want to talk about Silo. And this is a situation where all these, tens of thousands of people are living in an underground silo where they are under complete control with an erased history. And their erased history basically was done by, there's the powers that be say that the rebels came in and erased the history in order to try to get the people encapsulated in the silo underground. There's like 42 stories underground of this silo. Just think of the predictive programming here. That's what this is all about. Where the people living in the silo are they have to get reproductive clearance granted to them, and they have to be sanctioned. Their relationships have to be sanctioned by the silo government called judicial. They have to basically celebrate something called Freedom Day, which is when they defeated the resistors. Okay, and Freedom Day happened on the 6th day. I mean, it's all predictive programming, so it's simplistic in a way. But they said at 6 o'clock in 6 minutes and 6 seconds. Okay, 666 is when Freedom Day happened. Just blatant social engineering and predictive programming. And they're trying to create in people a digital Stockholm syndrome type situation where we basically give a passive consent to this kind of propaganda. And the rebels supposedly erase the history of what happened outside the silo. And whenever anybody tries to leave the silo, supposedly out there, there's really a gorgeous, awesome, beautiful planet, okay, according to the people who are figuring it out. But what is shown through a through a camera that is the only thing that people get to see out of the outside, is that anybody who leaves the silo dies of some awful poison. So it's interesting because they always do a predictive programming where it is that you think that what's going on, is to inform you of oh no, this is just this is anti-globalist propaganda, when really it is actually trying to suck you into a passive consent of what they're planning for you with the 15-minute cities, as Christine Anderson out of Germany, the great MP out of Germany, has been saying. These 15-minute cities are meant to be prison planets. They're meant to be their own little microcosms where you can't get out, and you have to believe whatever anybody's telling you is going on outside of the city. It is the globalist plan, absolutely. And so it's a kind of techno-serfdom situation that they're planning for us, and they absolutely are planning for it with us. And they are putting not only the spray, not only the digital control where your microwave and your dishwasher is listening to you, which is absolute reality. It's actually where your satellites are hitting us with so much frequency control, along with the spray in the sky, to affect us on such a intense biological level that it's really hard for us to see clearly or think clearly. And so we're going to get into that more this week, but today I just wanted to bring your attention to this next level indoctrination of silo on Apple TV, where they're not allowed to reproduce without consent. They're not allowed to have relationships without consent. And there is, of course, the people at the top of the silo are the ones who are important. The people at the bottom of the silo are the ones who are the techno grunts that have to run how it's all working there. So just a little aside before we move into the meat of the video. I want to get into Putin. I want to get into what's happening here with Victory Day, because we did have a very interesting situation where Putin did a huge 78th anniversary Russia victory over the Nazi state of Germany day, and did basically, in the Red Square, a huge military parade. And I think it was really important because they don't want you to hear about what Putin's saying. They don't want you to hear about how he's calling out the West, calling out NATO so hard, and basically saying that there is a Western NATO plan to pillage on a planetary theft level of everything, that they want everything, that they want to break down all national borders. And I'll just remind you here that national borders are basically Christian mandated, or Judeo-Christian mandated, that nations are what keep people in, I think it's called a Danbar. Is it the Danbar line, where people can really only relate to a certain amount of people to actually keep peace and have a good, healthy, way of living without there being a tyranny involved. And in Putin's Red Square address that he did today, and I'm not a Russophile. I don't want to live in Russia. I don't even support the Russian regime. I would support the American Republic, the Republic, which is the way it is, which is why we have the control that we've had in the world, is because, not just because of American tyranny, not just because of everything we hear about to do with globalism. It is because that the Judeo-Christian values of America, with the Republic and the Constitution, has made it possible so that other countries can emulate it and move towards it. That's why we got the dollar reserve currency. It is why people look to us as a way of having law and order. And so when we look at Putin in the Red Square, talking about the 78th anniversary of the Russian victory over Nazi Germany, we have to look at what happened there. So Russia lost something like 50 million people. Okay, 50 million people that died In Russia, was it 50 or 25 million? Let me look. 25 million, sorry. 25 million people dead in Russia, okay, during the Nazi assault, okay? So many of that during the Stalingrad situation, all of it. And with, today being the victory over Nazi Germany Day in Russia, we look at here in the US, we had 250,000 people die in that Great War. And what's important to understand here is that, that Russia killed 3 out of 4 Nazis were killed by Russia. Okay, and then we get the coup called out by Putin, okay, today, the coup in Ukraine, that was supporting the Azov battalion to come in, put in through, the Obama regime with the takeover and the coup in Ukraine. And again, more funding today for out of the Biden regime said to fund the security assistance to Ukraine, another massive amounts of billions to be going to Ukraine, just said today, on the same day as Putin doing his lecture here, his speech at Red Square, where he's saying basically that the West is going against everything that has to do with civilization, that they are doing a planned demolition of Western civilization, and that they are destroying traditional values and everything that makes us human, is what Putin said. Again, I'm not a Putin lover or supporter, but I think it's important to look at that this is being said. Putin said that, we have, we're paying homage to everybody who fought the war in World War II against the Nazis, but we have to understand that the Ukrainian people are being held hostage after a coup and are being held as puppets in a Western game being played here to remake the country. And that country is being made into, these are my words, into an e-citizen, globalist World Economic Forum version of how we have a digitally controlled a population, but also a digitally controlled economy with artificial intelligence controlled agriculture, technology, medicine, everything they're doing with the Build Back Better of Ukraine is about bringing in their new system of what Ukraine is supposed to be, which is the test case scenario of the World Economic Forum's dream to create Human 2.0. Human 2.0 that is sprayed, constantly with massive chemicals and nanodust that is controlled technologically through our brains, who is basically controlled by silicon and AI. And that's what Putin was referring to today. So very interesting there about Putin. But let's move into other things, which is the CEIR conference, which is going on yesterday and today in DC. We have the CEIR conference, which is, just awful. It is, this is another conference just like they held in 2019, right before the elections in 2019 in the spring. They had other conferences where they said, we have to stop Trump coming in through any means necessary. And they literally laid it out there. We're going to have to go after him on every kind of censorship level, everything we can do. Well, they just did another one today because they think they have to start early here because Trump is leading so hugely in the polls. DeSantis is in the gutter. Everybody's in the gutter. Even a Trump RFK, a Trump Kennedy ticket is rivaling any kind of Biden or Democrat ticket. Even if they went across lines, the Trump Kennedy ticket is picking up steam, which I like. I like it. I think that's a good thing. And so when we look at what's going on in DC in the last day, and yesterday and today, we get what's called the International Spy Museum in DC is where they're holding this conference. It's a CEIR, Center for Election Integrity and Election Innovation and Research conference. And what's interesting there is we get CEIR is working directly with election officials. We get people, their keynote speaker, okay, is, you can't make it up, Jamie Raskin. Okay, so Jamie Raskin, who was one of the key people in the J6 committee, who was the impeachment manager for the Trump impeachment, and who has come out recently saying that everything we've seen about, convicting the J6ers, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers of seditious conspiracy is what we will do to President Trump. He will be charged with seditious conspiracy. So they put this out as a bilateral, it's completely a GOP and DNC conference here for election innovation. Well, no, unless you count people like Raffensperger and all of them. But so let's look into them. So the Center for Election Integrity, this is literally being held right now with Jamie Raskin as the keynote speaker. This is the Bill Gates, Soros funded, all of these people. Brad Raffensperger's there speaking. You can't make it up. And so what we have is electioninnovation.org working directly with election officials. So CEIR, Center for Election Integrity and Election Innovation. Sorry, I keep wanting to say integrity because I think there should be integrity there, but there's not. It's Election Innovation and Research. And David Becker, okay, is the executive director. And David Becker is the one who founded ERIC, okay, the election Regulation Information Center, okay, Election Regulation Information Center, and a Registration Information Center. And what's happening with ERIC is that tons of states have dumped ERIC. Okay, ERIC was used to basically say that they're going to update the voter rolls. It was basically a way of amping up voter rolls. All of the voter roll, trying to get their voter rolls into to be real, and all the work that so many officials did to take the voter rolls out of illegal voting. ERIC did the opposite, where they basically made it that anybody who was registered to drive at the DMVs was automatically updated in voter rolls, and it wasn't true. And then we got all of our ballots harvested, all of the ballots sent out, all of this allowing for massive ballot harvesting, which was what ERIC was made happen. So David Becker, the executive director of CEIR, the Center for Election Innovation and Research, he funded by Open Societies, Soros Foundation. Soros Foundation funded so much by Anthony Blinken, his dad, so much of that. Well, what we get is, things like him writing a book called The Big Truth, basically saying in it that it's anti-Semitic to say that Soros and Zuckerberg stole the election, where we know that Zuckerberg, the Zuckerberg Foundation, Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, funded the ballot boxes, all of it, the money going for entertainment purposes only to the secretaries of states of our states, all of it. They basically are saying that it's anti-Semitic to say that that people like Zuckerberg and Soros funding these things is that's an anti-Semitic thing to say. And so David Becker also claims to be a 2 times Jeopardy winner. Interesting. 2 times Jeopardy winner. Wow. Graduate of UC Berkeley, David Becker. And so, that's him doing the CEIR, the Center for Election Innovation and Research. The other person in charge at CEIR where they're doing this conference at the International Spy Museum. By the way, Loomer.com, Laura Loomer, doing the hard lifting here. She's done a great job exposing them. I'll link it below. She's literally confronted people like Brad Raffensperger, the guy out of Georgia who did the steel for entertainment purposes only. She's confronted Raskin. She's confronted all of them. She does good in-person activism. And so anyway, we get Pam Anderson, who's a president, another major player here at CEIR. She is president of Concilium Colorado LLC, which is focusing on private-public partnerships, elections policy and administration. And she was in charge of what was the Colorado County Clerks Association. Doesn't it sound so official? The Colorado County Clerks Association. Well, it's not so official, folks. It's a nonprofit and has nothing to do with official things whatsoever, but it's how money changes hands to control things like 64 elected and appointed clerks and recorders who run local, state, and federal elections in Colorado. So you see how Colorado changed so rapidly in the last few years, few elections. Pam Anderson was a key player in that, and she's one of the huge people involved on the board of CEIR, Center for Election Innovation and Research, having their conference in DC at the International Spy Museum. Can't make it up, and there they are. And so we want to move on from there to Chelsea Clinton, because Chelsea Clinton needs to be paid to do something. I mean, what else does she have? She has no other credentials. So Chelsea Clinton is very sadly pushing a massive push out of what is called the big catch-up, and this has to do with inoculating our kids, trying to get. So what happened in the COVID was that people stopped poisoning their kids with vaccines. They stopped doing it. And it's been a huge thing, backfiring on big med, big pharma, big global, big transhumanism, is that people have really pulled back the vaccinating of their kids, thank goodness, for their own brain health, their own brain stem, so that they can be healthier, not be autistic or Asperger's or whatever. And so Chelsea Clinton's gone on the initiative. And what she's pushing now is this thing called the Big Catch-Up Initiative, the Big Catch-Up. And so this happened at the Brainstorm Health Conference in Marina Del Rey, California, on April 25th and 26th of last month. And it was funded by Future Magazine. That's Future. And so basically they're laying out the WHO's mass intent to have a huge, the biggest, largest ever, is what Chelsea Clinton says, the largest ever in the next 18 months attempt to get your children vaccinated, get them fully caught up with those 130 vaccinations they're supposed to get by like the age of 2, that she wants you to pay attention to her, that forget those mRNA. This is really interesting. She's like, I know everybody's concerned about that mRNA stuff, but we just need you to do all those original ones, all of the ones that gave everybody autism for entertainment purposes only, the ones that get everybody on the Asperger's spectrum. We need you to do the MMRs. We need to get back to all those original vaccines because we don't have enough autistic kids yet. So what Chelsea Clinton is saying is that, and just so you know, it's funded by the UN, the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. This is Gavi, this is UNICEF, all funding this. And what they're saying is that we are in the next 18 months going to come after your kids full bore as hard as we can to get them vaccinated. This is Chelsea Clinton right up there with the Big Catch-Up Initiative out of Brainstorm Health Conference. And just remember that the most recent simulation that they do when they do every year a vaccine simulation, pandemic simulation funded by Gates, Johns Hopkins et al. The last one was called Catastrophic Contagion, and that one was last October. And what they said is we're going to come out with an enterovirus. The next one will be an enterovirus. This will hit kids. They need to hit the kids. And again, as I've been saying in so many videos, this has to do with lactoferrin. It has to do with protecting your children with lactoferrin, and that's through you being unvaccinated and transferring, breast milk. Lactoferrin through breast milk is the best way to protect your kids. The next best way is a very, very pure bovine lactoferrin that you have to get through a very, very pure, formula for your kids. And so you need to protect your kids with lactoferrin. But so just saying all of that, enteroviruses are some of the most dangerous to kids and to humans in general. And so saying this, I think, is very connected also to what happened over the weekend that I talked about in my last video, which has to do with Katy Perry and the good old now anointed satanically King Charles for entertainment purposes only, where he had Katy Perry coming to do the music, the entertainment, and she is the ambassador. She's a UNICEF ambassador, as I said in my last video, but she's the ambassador also to the British Asia Fund, and that is what is called the Children's Protection Fund, funded by Natasha Poonawala, or chaired by her, and her husband is Adar Poonawala, Indian. They're both Indian, from India. And Adar Poonawala is the CEO of Serum Institute, that founded by his father, who has the largest vaccination, output in the world of the Serum Institute. They produce the most vaccines in the world. You don't hear about it much, but it's very important to understand. And so this is who we're dealing with. This is what's going on here with this push in the next 18 months to try to come after your kids. So important. And so the best minds at this Brainstorm Health Conference included people like Deborah Birx, who just can't miss a week on Newsmax. I don't know if you watch Newsmax, but Deborah Birx keeps showing up there on Newsmax. What's going on with Newsmax? Just bringing up Deborah Birx. And Ethan Brown, out of the CEO of Beyond Meat. Okay, that's can't make money to save themselves. Mass layoffs. Nobody wants Beyond Meat. Nobody wants to eat this frankenfood that is, who knows what's in it, but we know what's in it, and we've talked about it. But Beyond Meat CEO Ethan Brown, and of course people like Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, going there to speak at the Brainstorm. Who wants a brainstorm? A brainstorm, like, oh yeah, we're brainstorming. No. This sounds more like a brainstorm, something attacking your brain, that health conference. Okay, so that's happening with what Chelsea Clinton's up to. But we also know that what Chelsea Clinton's been up to in the most recent past is she's been doing this little tour, also trying to push all of the pedo books that is being pushed by the big Pharma people disguising themselves as LGBTQ, pedo, whatever, into the schools, whether it is the genderqueer or the lawn boy, pushed so much by the ALA, pushed by that radical lesbian communist who's in charge of the American Library Association. That is, basically total pornography for your children, and we've talked about this a million times. But we had Chelsea Clinton going and pushing this on her little national tour, and what's important to understand here about that is that these things have consequences. So I'm going to pause here and just have a sip of water because it's so disturbing. These things have consequences, and I just need to pause because it's what happens with pornography in children. Okay, as they start to imitate, adults. And when you start to sexually groom children, they start to do it to each other. And this is just a reality, and I know I'm getting a little sober here to talk about this because it's just reality. is that when kids are exposed to sexual abuse, whether it's from an adult or whether through this kind of grooming through the schools, through lawn boy and genderqueer, or whatever kind of pornography you want to put their way, they've been able to squeeze it in through the, the gay bullshit that they've been pushing, which it's the only way they can push it is because of, they used to try to do it other ways, okay? Now they do it this way. And you can read books by, things like the book Pornography by Andrea Dworkin. Go get a huge education on that, But the reality of pornography is that it gets kids to act out, and usually because they're already being violated at home. And this is, I think, what's getting, kind of glossed over, is that, kids are abused at home. And this whole opportunism at the schools with all of this putting pornography in the schools and pornographing the teachers and the teachers' assistants and all the crap and the counselors and everything at school, is that you're creating an environment for abuse. And we have awful news coming out that I just need to share with you, and Chelsea Clinton, promoting this crap, and everybody promoting this garbage at schools and putting grooming and sexualization of children. This is what it leads to, folks. It leads to this. And again, I'm sorry for having to report it, but I have to. But a 6-year-old girl in Plainview, Texas, something called ISD South Elementary, a 6-year-old girl was orally raped by a male classmate, her same age, 6-year-olds. These are 6-year-olds, okay? This is what you get when they get exposed to pornography and they get exposed to this crap. She was orally raped by a male classmate and held down by other students of the same age. And one of them was videoing it on an iPad, okay? This girl. It's so disgusting. You just can't, it's awful. And that's what it leads to. So everything we worry about when we talk about, this genderqueer crap, lawn boy, all of it, guess what? Kids imitate what they read. They imitate what they learn. And this is what we got. So here in Texas, Plainview, the woman's great aunt, who was her guardian, Raquel Medina, she was never told about the assault, even though they knew it happened. It all happened. She was held down. She was made to do this. It was videoed. Okay, this happened in the lunchroom. It happened in the lunchroom. And apparently there was a teacher there, a Mrs. Holt, who apparently didn't happen to know it was happening because she was listening to her earpods to some soothing music while she was sitting in the room with those kids, supposedly. And this is a squirrely school because there's been other charges of really messed up sexual assaults happening here. And this girl went home. Nobody knew about it. Her parents were not told. Her guardian was not told about this. Her great aunt, who was her carer, was not told about this. And noticed that her grandniece was, looking odd. She had bags under her eyes. She wasn't talking. She went into a funk. And she's like, what's going on? And she found out what the hell happened. And she went to the school. And the school said, well, we didn't have to tell you about this. CPS, Child Protective Services, is in charge of this complaint. And they didn't tell her guardian. And this girl had to go back to school every day without being told, her parents being told, her guardian being told of what had happened to her. Okay, this is what happens, Chelsea Clinton. This is what happens, all of you a-holes, okay, out there protecting this garbage, this pornography in the schools for kids. She is now obviously an assault victim, a rape victim, a kid who nobody protected and nobody even told her parents about. It took a week before her great aunt noticed that she was having such troubles. She found out, and then she still wasn't able to see the video that had been recorded by another student. Okay, and then she literally is told the CPS is in charge, not you, and that there's massive more problems with the school. We had also in the school another boy bringing in his dad's phone, okay, that had pornography on it, and trying to get the kids to enact the scenes of the pornography, to do sexual scenes in the school. We have in May of 2018, there had been in the same school, this is again Plainview, Texas, ISD South Elementary, that there had been in 2016 an assault on a child by a teacher in the school, an elementary school. Okay, and again, CPS is in charge, she doesn't get to learn. She finds out by grilling the girl. And then, so we had a protest on May 5th at the school. There's going to be another one on the 18th. This is a protest against the Board of Trustees, to go up against the Board of Trustees. Remember in the beginning of the video when I said find your role? One of your roles, and find a mentor. If you need a mentor that can teach you your role, whatever you're passionate about, this is one thing to get passionate about: getting on the Board of Trustees at your school, getting in charge of controlling who is a superintendent of your schools, and getting the CPS out of your schools and your parents in charge of your schools. So basically on May 18th, there will be a protest of the Board of Trustees meeting at the ISD Plainview complex, which I guess is a complex of schools. And so this is what I wanted to, just really mention, that this is what happens when we have pornography in the schools, is that kids act it out because they're kids and they don't know what's up, but they know something's up. And when they get sexualized, whether these kids, like the kid who brought his dad's pornography for entertainment purposes only, if he was being sexually abused at home, okay, he would bring that. That's called grooming, and that's called what happens to children who are abuse victims. Sometimes they become abusers. They just become curious. They want to make other people experience what they've been through. And so we have this kind of situation. This is what happens, okay, with things like Lawn Boy and genderqueer, or any kind of explicit pornography, straight, it doesn't matter. Kids who are that young, exposed to any of this material, will start to enact it because they don't know better, because they're curious, they don't know. And so they start to assault each other, and it's horrific. So I wanted to put that out there. I know it's hard, but I needed to say it. So, okay. We're going to move on from there and just kind of, move on to the next thing. But I needed to put that out there. Chelsea Clinton, for entertainment purposes only. Yeah, okay. So moving on, now we're going to get into what I wanted to talk about here about, it almost seems benign compared to what we just talked about, but no, it's really true and it's important, which is basically we get a new rollout of an AI in our Walmarts. I don't shop there. I hope you don't either. But they're putting in a new AI control system, a new surveillance grid into their Walmart stores. They're rolling it out in different stores. One of them is the Intelligent Retail Lab in their 50,000 square foot. It's a 50,000 square foot neighborhood market. 50,000 square foot neighborhood market. They're in Long Island, New York, like you do, and it's an artificial intelligence factory, is what they call it. And Mike Hanrahan, CEO of Walmart's Intelligent Retail Lab and co-founder of Jet.com, which is a way for elites to order their food by text app. He's trying to assure us that, Jet Black is the really elite text app where you can, if you have tons of money, you can just text in what you want and Walmart will have it ready for you, but it costs more if you got tons of money. And so Mike Hanrahan says, oh, no, it's not biometric surveillance yet. Don't worry, we're not catching your irises. We're not, grabbing you for, to put you into the fusion center control grid. No. Now we're just using things for shelf cameras. So on every shelves they have cameras. All above everywhere they have cameras, and they're kind of investigating your ages, your genders, your moods. And, don't worry, it's not in the pharmacies. It's, we want to see what drugs you get. It's not in your restrooms, of course not. And it's certainly not in your employee break rooms. But this thing with their intelligent retail labs is moving to a Walmart near you. Don't shop at Walmart. Don't shop at the box stores. Support your local farms. And now we're getting spring. Don't shop there at all. Farmers markets. Learn how to cook. Stop with the box stores because they're stealing everything from you. And they literally are creating a way to surveil you that is just beyond the pale of anything we have known so far. And it gets into what is, Joe Biden's new surveillance grid, which is the disinformation office. His new disinformation office that just happened a few days ago actually leaked out what's called the FMIC, the Federal Malign Influence Center. In the first public mention of it, didn't even come out through the DNI, didn't come out through the Director of National Intelligence. It wasn't announced. It just squeezed out through Avril Haines at a Senate Armed Services Committee meeting last week, where he just mentioned, hey, well, we've got this new FMIC, the Federal Malign Influence Center, where they're basically tracking you in real time with your cell phones. It's going into the fusion centers. Literally, when you travel with your cell phone, wherever you are, they know who you are, and it's going to the fusion centers constantly of your local law enforcement, going to everywhere. Everything is going up into the NSA. They know who you are with your cell phones, okay? Or even, honestly, through your microwaves and your dishwashers. Everything that is assigned to you through your digital identification that you do in purchasing those things and installing them, whether it's your phones, your appliances, etc., is part of this FMIC, Federal Malign Influence Center. And it was funded by the Intelligence Authorization Act of 2022, already funded last year. And they got the goods on you, okay? Very, very quietly, this little situation of the FMIC. Interesting that it's coming out at the same time as its CEIR meeting, where they're trying to identify every voter and how they can come after them, how they can come after the elections, as they have been doing for so long. And so I'm gonna leave it there. I might just touch in a little bit with what's going on in the border. We've got Title 42 ending in a few days. I think it ends on the 11th. Mass entry supposedly coming on the 12th, but we've tens and tens of thousands just obliterating the border. The southern border is broken. It is entirely done for. And the people who were called by Biden, something like 15,000 troops, it's like nothing. They're basically doing data entry. They're just doing data entry to allow the people who are on the apps to become part of a surveillance grid. So the people coming up through the southern border, they're giving cell phones by the UN, UNICEF, everything I've been talking about with, what's going on with what I said earlier to do with, Chelsea Clinton and Katy Perry, all of them, the UNICEF, the UN, funding all this mass migration into the U.S. Well, they are given phones, they're given apps, and they are given money for taking videos, for supplying information to these new troops and the supposed help to the border. No. It's all just about how they can create more information to figure out how to what I think and what many have said over the last several days. People like Pete Santelli, PeteSantelli.tv or PeteSantelli.tv. I'll link it below, but Pete Santelli is just a great source of information. But basically, where we're looking at a situation where with Title 42, which is the thing that has been keeping some of the migration from coming full bore across the southern border, is about to end on the 11th, And, that had to do with the COVID restrictions. And of course, that's why they had to end the pandemic so that they could allow that to happen. And what we're going to see is just a massive amounts more of what has been like the cartel attacks for entertainment purposes only, and what happened in Texas to do with the mall in the Dallas area and the running down of the people in Brownville, Texas. We're going to see a lot more of these kinds of FEFs, okay, but not just in Texas or border towns, but more nationwide. What people like Pete Santilli are saying is that the information they have is that this is going to be go nationwide in box stores, in malls, where there's going to be these kinds of FEFs to do with guns and cars, harming people for entertainment purposes only. That is to create a type of broken arrow situation where we're overrun with these kinds of FEFs, where they can, create martial law or create a way to create new gun legislation, all kinds of emergency measures, okay, shall we say, to bring in new forms of control. And so we need to look out for that. We want to be vigilant about how we, do our lives, how we, where you go, what you do. You just want situational awareness, right? Situational awareness. You just look where you are, what's going on, be aware of what you're doing, where you go, and why you're doing it, and make good decisions. Who wants to buy from the box stores anyway? These people are criminals. They're globalist criminals. Most of everything you're buying from them is from China. Support local. Go local. You can go to, you can go to mystore.com, right? You can go to mystore.com. There's so many places to go, or you can just buy literally local in your area. The one thing that the elites enjoy is that they have their small communities with their small stores, and they pay more money to go and buy their locally grown eggs and their locally grown vegetables and their locally grown everything perfectly lovely. Well, that's all good for them, but we can and do simulate those same things. We have those same things. People have, their CSAs. You get your farmers markets. Get one going in your community if it doesn't exist, with your local farmers, and choose your role, get involved, be part of it. We need those things locally. We need to remove all of our commerce. Every single dollar you spend is so important that it doesn't go to these box stores, and that you don't put yourself in any kind of compromised situation, where any of this can affect you. I'll just mention this on my way out. This is funny. I mean, it's awful for this guy. But we have this report from the other day of a man from Ohio who had an EV truck, an electrical vehicle truck, and he got in like a fender bender. He like whatever. Somebody hit his fender. He hit somebody else's fender. And it cost him $42,000. $42,000 because of the damage it did to like the battery situation and all of that. $42,000. His car already probably cost like $60,000, and then it cost him $42,000 to actually repair it. So yeah, we don't want your EVs, and we don't want the electrification of our nation. We actually just want our normal lives back. So we're going to pray for that. We're going to choose our roles as people who are so committed to being warriors for the Prince of Peace, right? And we're going to choose our roles. We're going to choose our mentors, and we're going to get out there and do good. And we're going to defy all of this evil. We're going to defy all of this nonsensical social engineering that they're constantly putting after us. And as much as we can, we're going to have to get our kids out of these schools because they're dangerous and they're harmful, and they're filled with psycho people who are literally compromised. And so I might leave it there. Sorry it wasn't more upbeat. How can it be? Like, life is hard right now. People are suffering. We're looking at, this cartel Babylon. We're facing him down. We're holding the line, right? And now we got to kind of gird our loins up and, really get a little tougher to kind of charge forward, right? We're warriors for the Prince of Peace. So get on your, get on your armor, get on your God's armor, choose your role, and, take a stance, and then don't back down, hold the line. We can hold the line together, folks. We can, because we are free. And we literally have been a beacon for the world. Forget all the dirtbags doing the crappy stuff behind the scenes and the globalists and their cabal. We, just as our own selves, are beacons. And so continue that and do it, more and more. And align with people in analog time outside of these devices. Get outside of all the technology that's trying to entrain your brain and deplete your energy, and get out and do the things that bring you joy, okay? The things that make you feel, the things that make you connect with other people. Just keep doing it, keep doing that. The more you do that, connect with people, the things that, do the things that make you have joy, and use your skills that are God-given and that you hone them and keep at it and keep doing it, the more you're going to defeat this cartel Babylon. They can't deal with humans that are connected with God. We are the antidote to the satanic global cartel Babylon. We are the antidote. And evil and Satan can't live where there's truth. Where truth resides, there can be no evil. That's just reality. And where love truly resides, Satan flees. So we are free. We are the antidote. We are going to beat these, these satanic, occupied, silicon creatures. They won't win. God wins. You are free. I'll see you next time.